The next interesting part of chapter 1 is this info command or info statement. And what it does is it, hold on, let's go to the first one. Info for, there we go, close it and open it again. So info for DB. This will give you information about the database. And inside the book in chapter 1, you don't want to overwhelm the reader, so I only have like a little bit of just introducing the command here. But since we are looking at a single video about the single concept, we can get into it a little bit more. So you can see there's info for DB, NS, or you can also write out the whole thing. So info for namespace or info for database. But of course, you know, DB and NS are much easier. And then there's also root. So it's got these 3 levels of things you can see information for. So like on the root level, you can see your namespaces. On the namespace level, you can see your databases. And then on the database level, you can see all the tables and analyzers and all that interesting stuff. So you can see there's nothing there. Now the interesting part is that if you create a cat, you're going to see a cat there. And the question is, well, how did that work when there was no table defined as a cat in the database? The reason for that is that it will create it for you. So it will create this schemaless cat table by default. And in order to make that work, it had to define a database. And this database was already inside the session data. You can actually see it here, return session or just session. And you can see this is where it gets it from. So when you start a session, so it's called sandbox, inside the namespace sandbox, and it grabs that and it makes all these definitions for you so that the table will be able to be created, and then the record that follows. And that is why we have a cat. And so you might not want to have this behavior because maybe you want to like define your database yourself and you want to make it schemaful, or you just don't want it to create things that are not defined yet. And so what you can do when you're starting the database is you do this, strict. And strict basically means don't do anything unless it's defined, and don't define anything for me. And so inside Surrealist, you can't start the database with those commands. You have to do that on your own, but it's pretty easy. You just pass in this strict. Surreal start, strict, and then you've got your user, root, pass, root, and all that sort of thing to start your database in strict mode. And so yeah, those are the basics of the info commands.